What's up everyone, Anyextee here. In this video, taken from my recent Ancient Technologies and Symbolism tour of Egypt with Christopher Dunn, the engineer and master craftsman joins us between the paws of the Sphinx to explain the differences in quality of craftsmanship that he believes points to another culture, other than the one who first fashioned the monument. Christopher Dunn has observed differences in the quality of craftsmanship not only on the Dream Stele, located between the paws of the Sphinx, but also other monuments during his travels to Egypt. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe now to get more videos like this one. I will be uploading more content with Chris Dunn on location in Egypt, providing explanations for the lost technologies of ancient Egypt. But for now, let's get into this footage. Enjoy. If we can just gather around the Dream Stele one more time. After all, this is the Lost Technologies and Symbolism tour of ancient Egypt. And I'd be remiss if I were not to include the great Christopher Dunn, who would like us to come in between the paws of the Sphinx. The Sphinx, by the way, is why we're waiting for Chris and everyone to gather around. It's made up of 3 separate levels of rock strata, and you have alternating soft and hard levels of limestone, with the head being the hardest, and you have the body. In order to carve, or rather sculpt out the body, they had to remove the stones around the Sphinx, all around the paws here in the back. They had to carve out the large stones, megalithic stones, and move them, which constitute the temples in front of us. We have what's called the Sphinx enclosure all around the Sphinx, or some refer to it as the Sphinx Ditch. In order to, this wasn't built, it wasn't constructed, it was sculpted out. It was carved from a single ridge of living rock. And so the stones that they had to take out and removed are what you're looking at here, are these stones, these giant, massive, megalithic stones. And just to make a point, when I say megalithic, and megalithic meaning enormous, if you look at this stone, it starts from here and goes all the way over here and around the corner. And we'll see those temples in just a moment. So with no further ado, if you want to gather around, we will begin with Christopher Dunn.
I will only take 2 minutes. Essentially, what I had noticed in my travels through Egypt is that there are different qualities of craftsmanship that and also reflects different kinds of tools. So on the Dream Stele, if you look at the reliefs up there, the sphinxes, they are very, very finely cut. They have the typical sunken relief, 3-dimensional profile on the bottom surface, and then the other work is also precise. But when you get to the writing and some of these lines, it's apparent that they were cut using different kinds of tools. So one of the conclusions that I came to was that the monuments were found, and you'll see this on some of the statues at Luxor, but they were later adopted by another culture other than the ones that created them to start with, and they didn't have the same tools when they personalized them. That was 2 minutes, right?
Yeah, you've got 5 more. Keep it going, Chris.
I'm done. Let's go.
All right, so we're now going to pass the mic here to Sahila, and we're going to begin to take our tour around the Sphinx. We're going to look at the evidence of water erosion. We'll also discuss the hidden entrances and many other subtle nuances and aspects. And as we're walking and talking, if you want to engage in a conversation, if you have any questions or anything to add, please feel free. So Sahila, if you will lead the group and take us around, we will now begin to honor the work of the late, great John Anthony West. But we have one question. What's that?
This is the original Linus Sphinx.
Okay, so that's a great question. The Sphinx is not your great-granddaddy Sphinx. There's been several stages of reconstruction, or restoration, rather, which we'll point out as we go along the Sphinx. The paws, what you see, are actually late. This is far more modern here. These stones here are part of these are the Old Kingdom stones, the original stone that Zahi pointed out. Right. And then as you see, there's obviously the restoration work, which comes much later in time. And we'll discuss the different construction phases as we walk around the Sphinx. So, and just so you all know, we'll be discussing what I reference as hidden entrances. They're not all necessarily entrances, but there is an entrance back here that no one really is aware of, right behind the Dream Stele. This is a modern entrance. There's a sort of a pit, and there's a trap door on top, and you can go in. Well, we can't go inside. This is for the authorities. We don't really see what it looks like at the base of the Sphinx, where the front of the Sphinx is touching the ground. We don't really have that view. And, you know, I'd love to see a qualified geologist or different experts, different points of view, people that can have different insights actually have access to go in there and see, because it wouldn't be beyond the realm of reason to suspect that there could potentially be some sort of entrance between the pores, the flanking pores. Typically, in esoteric tradition, you'll always find the entrance between, you know, two obelisks, or, you know, in this case, two pores. We will discuss this more. There's been a lot of work that's been done to the Sphinx to cover things up. Whether it was intentionally, we don't know. Emile Barres sealed over a lot of these cavities and entrances with cement. We'll go into more detail as we walk around. So if we follow Sahila now, we will begin to honor the work of my mentor, the late, great John Anthony West, and take a look at the water erosion, or the evidence for water erosion.
Made first, and then like all these writings were made way later.
So what do you think? Could this text, showing distinguishable differences in quality according to the engineer, be the product of another culture other than the one who first fashioned the stone? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. As mentioned earlier, I do plan to upload more videos with Christopher Dunn from our recent Lost Technologies and Symbolism tour of ancient Egypt. So please do subscribe and be sure to click the bell icon for those notifications. This is only one video from a series of videos inside the Sphinx enclosure. There is more. I have a playlist here on my channel called the Sphinx of Egypt, which I am constantly updating with new content. You can find all of the videos from inside the Sphinx enclosure in there as I upload them. So please do check that out. But if you don't want to wait for the individual bite-sized, more digestible chunks to come out, you can watch the full video with all the behind-the-scenes moments inside the Sphinx enclosure with myself and my colleagues, Christopher Dunn and Dr. Manu Saifzadeh at AncientEgyptMysterySchools.com. Ancient Egypt Mystery Schools is my private membership community where we explore the ancient mystery traditions. Members of Ancient Egypt Mystery Schools get full access to unpublished content not available here on YouTube or anywhere else online. Members are also treated to discounts on my ADEPT expedition tours of Egypt, and it's a great way to support my work. You can watch the full virtual tour by becoming a private member at AncientEgyptMysterySchools.com. I will leave a link for you in the description down below. If you would like to experience the Sphinx and investigate the Sphinx enclosure for yourself up close, in person, well then I would like to invite you to join me for an ADEPT expedition in Egypt. You can learn how to join my next tour of Egypt at ADEPTExpeditions.com. Again, I will leave a link for you in the description down below. And last but certainly not least, I am trying to do this full time and make this sustainable so that I can work on this channel more. I put in a tremendous amount of work, from exhaustive research to the travels, to the video documentation, to writing, to produce these videos for you. I would love to do this more often, more consistently, but I do have a family to feed, so I could use your support. You know, it's really only with the support of my Patreon supporters that I've been able to do what I've done thus far. However, I haven't been as consistent as I would like to be, and I have not yet reached my goal on Patreon to make this fully sustainable. So if you find it in your heart, if you find value in the content I create for you, or you like what I'm doing, or you're just a generous person and you want to help out, I could certainly use your support at patreon.com. I'll leave a link for you to my Patreon account in the description below. Thank you for watching this installment of Adept Expeditions. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, leave a comment below, and please subscribe. Until next time, this is Anyextee for AdeptExpeditions.com.